Good morning. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the minister here. It's good to see many of your smiling faces after I was away for a bit. Whether you're attending online or in person, I'm glad you've chosen to join us today. Worship means to remember that which is of worth. And thus we gather together each week in community to be called back to our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we welcome you to bring your whole self into this place. If you're joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you participate that way. This will allow you to take part in the comments for joys and concerns and sometimes more, which will be true today. You can also subscribe to our channel and share videos you like with others. For those here in person, after the service, you are invited to go downstairs to the common room. That's out these back doors and down and around, or this way if you go out past the piano. We'll have a coffee and conversation in the common room. Meanwhile, if you are logged on to church Wi-Fi and don't need to be, please put your phone on airplane mode during the service. And happy news, we actually had fiber internet installed for the church just last week. It hasn't been fully switched over yet, so hopefully next week I might not need to ask you that. But for now, we'll keep turning our phones onto airplane mode. A few things coming up this week. Community Night is a weekly gathering that is the first Friday of the month, so that's this coming Friday at 6 p.m. downstairs in the common room. And if you haven't come before, this is a laid-back all-church event for anybody who wants to join in. Folks gather for a potluck and don't really worry about who is bringing what. And the kids just play freely. If you're too busy to bring something, don't worry, just come. You are the best part. Also next weekend, on Saturday, if you've ever had the urge to poke around and see what's in the many different hideaway spots in the church, the Chalice Guild invites you for coffee and bagels and a back-of-the-house tour, and they're going to show you kind of the inside scoop on what's where here in the building. That's at 9:30 in the common room next Saturday. If you have questions, you can email Kaylin Goldner. And lastly, also on Saturday next week, very happily, members Tila and Kai are having a baby coming, and there will be a Harry Potter-themed baby shower at 3 p.m. in the common room next Saturday, and they are registered at Baby List. The link has been in our church e-blast. For more church happenings, you can use the QR code or links in your program, or grab a printed e-news in the foyer on your way out. Our church occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations, and their sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We would also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe, the Winnebago tribe, and the Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and all the other tribes represented in the Omaha area, of which there are many. At First Unitarian Church of Omaha, we invite all to join us to go beyond acknowledgments. Let this be just a beginning step by educating ourselves and supporting causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous people in our area. And now Judy will help us settle in with some music. this time, I invite forward Resay It to light the flaming chalice. You can find the chalice lighting words in your order of service or inside the front cover of the gray hymnal. Will you join me? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thanks, Ree. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward?
That calls you inward, that leads you homeward.
What is it that gives you the power to make that change?
To ask that question, to take that journey.
What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more?
That brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times.
It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith.
It begins when we share this hour, our truths.
This air, our hearts. Come, let us worship together. I invite you to rise if that feels good to your body and join in singing number 108, My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. For the time for all ages. I think we got kids coming up from the nursery, and Amanda has a story for us about a giraffe.
Shopping. Then you sit down
Usually I sit. I'm pretty short. Oh no, pick him up. Hurry, hurry, hurry.
I've read that book.
It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite books.
Can't dance.
Oh no. You guys are...
Can't they just
everybody to scooch it back. Thank you. If you would like to, hey, big kids, if you would like to do the dances that the animals do, hey, are you listening? If you want to do the dances the animals do, you can dance right here, okay? Otherwise, have a seat so the littles can see.
I'm not dancing however I want.
Okay, well, dance over there, not in front of the little ones. All right. Pretty packed group today. Good morning, kids. How you doing? You ready to dance? Yeah! Awesome. Today's story is Giraffes Can't Dance by Giles Andretti and illustrated by Guy Parker Reese.
I know you made it.
All right, you guys ready?
You made it.
Well, I mean, it does say Parker Reese. Did you both make it? No? Okay. Okay. This is a story about Gerald the giraffe. Okay? Gerald was a... Okay, plug your ears then. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees. But when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Have you guys ever tripped and fallen like that when you're trying to run fast?
No.
I do it all the time. You just did. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. Can you dance like the warthogs? The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. Can any of you tango? No? All right. Oh, I bet you can dance like the chimps. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. All right, Gerald's gonna be brave now. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor. But the lions saw him coming and they soon began to roar. Hey, look at clumsy Gerald, the animals all sneered. Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Ugh, Gerald, you are so weird. Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. They're right, he thought. I'm useless. I feel like such a clot. So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before. So sad and all alone. Have any of you ever felt that sad? Yeah. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. The moon can be so beautiful, he whispered with a sigh. Excuse me, coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on. But sometimes when you're different, guys, did you know that sometimes when you're different, you need a different song? Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the trees. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then, Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying and his tail was swishing around. Oop, oop. Hey guys, who can tell me what Gerald's doing right now? What is Gerald doing? Okay, so let's listen to what he's doing. He threw his arms out sideways. Can you put your arms sideways? And he swung them everywhere. Don't hit anybody. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Can you guys leap? No leapers? Leap, leap. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. I am dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I am dancing, Gerald cried. Then one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him, quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream! Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen! How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how!" But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Can you all bow? Excellent. Oh no. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." Thank you guys for showing us how to dance. All right, let's go. Come on.
Each week, we share our blessings with others through a community offering. Half of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a local cause which resonates with Unitarian Universalist values. If you're online or prefer to give with your smartphone, you can see the QR code and links. Our Share the Plate recipient for July has been OATS. OATS stands for Open Arms Trans Social Group. OATS welcomes the trans community of all ages, gender identities, and gender expressions, drawing people from well beyond the Omaha area. While OATS centers the trans experience as we lift one another up in the spirit of fellowship and love, they also invite cisgender allies, family members, and partners to attend as well. This group meets at Second Unitarian Church, our counterpart on the west side. The offering is gratefully received with this gift of music from Elaine Wells. Thank you, Elaine. We come to the time for sharing of joys and concerns. When we share the things that lift us up, it can lift up those around us as well. And when we share what challenges we are facing, our community can reach out with care and support. Yesterday, a celebration of life service was held here for Judith Wright. You may have noticed the tree here with its interesting adornments. That's some of Judith's jewelry. The family is inviting church folks who knew Judith or felt connected to choose a piece from the tree to take home after the service. And there is also more jewelry to look over downstairs in the common room. So what a generous sharing from that service. Other joys and concerns.
I would like to wish my mother a very happy 65th birthday today.
Okay. We draw into this circle of care all who know both joy and difficulty, even if it is held privately. This morning's centering song is Coming Home, which you will find in the Teal hymnal. It's just been put inside the back cover for us to use. And I'll sing it once through in case you haven't heard this before or don't remember it, and then invite you all to join me in singing it through a couple of times as you're moved. I return to myself, here where I belong. I am coming home, like a bird to its nest, like a river to the ocean. I am coming home. Join me if you like. I return to myself, here where I belong. I am coming home, like a bird to its nest, like a river to the ocean. I am coming home. I return. On the wings of this music, I invite you to rest your eyes, check your postures, be seated comfortably, and turn inward. I will share a pastoral prayer, and then we'll observe a time of silence for your own inward reflection. I'll end the period of silence with the sound of the bell. With each pulse of my heart, I come home to my body. My body, miraculous machine of skin and bone and blood, always working right in hundreds of ways, even if a few things aren't working so well. With gratitude for the gift of life, I come home to my body. With each breath into my lungs and out again, I come home to this place, Omaha on the plains, or wherever I may be as I participate. The oxygen filling my lungs is a gift of the planet's plant life. In turn, all that is green flourishes from the carbon dioxide that I exhale. With every breath, I remember my place and the interdependent web of Earth's life. As I rest here in companionship with other breathing human beings, may I come home to human community too. Perhaps I feel alone or adrift, like so many in our modern world. Perhaps I long to connect with others, to laugh and share and know one another. If I am new and looking for such community, or if I am returning but somehow still feel apart, may I find vital community here among these people. Let us continue to breathe together in silence, coming home to ourselves, to our earth community, and to this community of fellow seekers. The reading today will be supplied by those who are attending live and willing to be playful. This is where the Mad Lib sheets come in that you may have grabbed on your way in, or if you are online, you may have downloaded along with the order of service. It is posted there. If you didn't get one and you'd like to play along, just raise your hand and one of our ushers will bring you either a Mad Lib sheet or a pencil to write with if you need it. Okay, we got a few needs here. So I invite you to fill in the blanks on this UU Mad Lib sheet as you are moved. Your answers can be serious or silly, though they should not be deliberately just plain untrue. Here's a chance to share lightheartedly how you might tell a newcomer about Unitarian Universalists in this church. Now, if you are a visitor yourself, it's up to you whether you feel like you've already learned enough about First Unitarian or its tradition to participate. It's okay to just listen if that feels better. So we'll give you a few moments with a little mood music to complete these. And after that, I'll invite any brave souls forward in the sanctuary who want to share a few of their spontaneous answers. And online participants will have the opportunity to put some in the chat if you like. I will also collect all the pages at the end and share more responses and the e-blast following this service, and perhaps even post some downstairs in the common room for next week. Okay, so I invite you to take your pencil and don't think too hard, just be spontaneous, fill in the blanks with whatever feels authentic, and it's okay to be goofy. A little music, Judy. brave soul out there want to come up and share one or two of your answers with us here at the microphone in the front if you so desire. I see Douglas coming forward. I decided this is a year of play and purpose as a theme for my ministry this year, and I think many others are coming along with me, so here's a little start to that, play and purpose. What have you got, Douglas?
Okay, I chose. Tickle your arm to steady myself. Thank you. I picked the hardest one for me, the reinvention of the covenant. And this is based on purely my own current ideas and ideals, and yesterday's service for Judith. Creativity is the doctrine of this church, originality is its sacrament, and higher awareness is its prayer. To dwell together in joy, to seek equality in freedom, to serve all the disenfranchised, to the end that all souls shall be free. Thus do we covenant with all souls present and not present, and those who have gone before.
Thank you, Douglas. Anybody else? One or two answers. All right, let's see what Steph has.
For number one, I said, we teach our children to dance like giraffes.
Somebody was paying attention. We can do one or two more if anyone's so moved. All right, Judy's got something for us.
I got number 3. You don't have to believe anything particular or wear a dress to belong. And you don't have to love Jesus to be considered a good person.
All right. All right, hang on to those. Oh, yep, come on forward. We got one more brave soul. You don't have to be that brave, actually. It's a pretty warm audience here.
I've got number 4. Above all else, UUs are committed to coffee hour.
And I have a friendly amendment to that, to making the world a better place.
All right, we'll end our reading on that high note. Oh, I see one more. Go ahead, Lita. Lita will be the last one. I'll invite you on your way out of the sanctuary today, if you're here in person, to leave your sheets on the table where you came in, where the programs were, and we'll be sharing more of these in the common room and/or in the e-blast. And those online can send email responses to admin@firstuuomaha.org. What you got, Lita?
I answered number 10, and I couldn't get both, but the first one just jumped out at me. You can tell a UU by dancing around the question, what's your religious doctrine?
Well, you know what? I'll share you my number 10 as well. You can tell a UU by their chalice jewelry and sometimes by their social justice bumper stickers. All right. So there are lots of good reasons to join a church like this one. We heard some of them just now, including in Douglas's rendition of the James Vila Blake Covenant. Welcoming new people who feel they have found their spiritual home is one of the great joys for me of being the minister here. But sometimes folks get the wrong idea about this tradition. It does happen from time to time. So this morning, I'd like to dispel some myths and misconceptions about Unitarian Universalism and Unitarian Universalists. And I'm going to be joined by Exploring Elaine. Come on up. Now, you may know Elaine as a longtime member here, but for our little play today, you can pretend that she is a recent occasional visitor checking out Unitarian Universalism. She's a church shopper. She's heard a little bit about what we are, and maybe she has some skewed impressions. So together, Exploring Elaine and I are going to consider 10 reasons not to join or stay in this church. These are not the reasons to join. Reason number 1.
You can believe anything you want, right?
Well, it's true that Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal faith, so there's nothing like a Nicene Creed with historical and theological statements to which all members must subscribe. That's true. But, Elaine, that does not mean that absolutely anything goes. If you're not in sympathy with any of the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, for example, if you don't believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, but think that some people are better than others and should be treated better than others, or if you deny the interdependent web of all life and think maybe it's appropriate for humans to dominate and desecrate the planet, then this might not be the place for you. And if anybody out there wants to read the rest of the 7 principles, check out the brochure in the pew racks there, or the About page on the church website.
Okay, well, so maybe not anything goes, but there's a wide range of acceptable ideas here. I've considered creating my own cult, and it seems like to me that these folks would be open-minded enough to be gullible. Don't you think?
Did you say cult?
I did say cult.
I don't think you'd actually have that much luck here. Consider the sources of our living tradition. So I mentioned the principles. There are also sources of inspiration. And particularly, I'm thinking of this one: humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warn us against idolatries of mind or spirit. So there are lots of skeptics around here. Anyway, you should also know that this community is built on a democratic way of governing itself with shared leadership. And I'll even share an inside secret with you, just from the minister, Elaine. There's perhaps an above average amount of distrust of authority here. So not the most promising place for an aspiring cult leader.
Okay, forget the cult idea. I was just pulling your leg. Here's the second reason I think this could be a community for me. I heard you have great food and fun parties. Is that right?
That is quite true. We have ongoing events like the Halloween party with the costume contest. There's an annual chili cook-off. Every month, like you heard in the announcements, there's a potluck night, and there's also a game night, and all kinds of small group social events throughout the year. These are good ways to get to know people, have fun, celebrate life. Now, of course, parties alone are not the reason to join. This community is more than a social club. It's also a place to learn and grow and serve. Now, if you're looking strictly for social connections and are not interested in personal growth or bettering the world, it might be better to look elsewhere.
I get that. Well, I am interested in a community that has high aspirations with as much purpose as partying. But tell me, can I avoid Christianity here? I like the community aspect of the church, but I don't do so well with a lot of God talk. I just don't relate to it. Being able to avoid that stuff is my third reason for thinking that maybe I should join here.
That's a natural question, Elaine. We have many sources of inspiration we draw on, as I mentioned, direct experience, arts and science, as well as wisdom traditions the world over. We certainly don't limit ourselves to biblical wisdom, but Jesus is still honored as a teacher and a role model here. I don't do a ton of God talk. I aspire to use theologically inclusive language, but I can't promise you won't ever hear such words. And we do celebrate Christmas and Easter in our own UU ways. You'll probably occasionally hear a Bible story too. So this isn't a place to steer completely clear of the Jesus tradition, if that's what you're looking for. But for a lot of people, it can be a place to heal religious wounds and come to relate to religious language with enlarged meanings, just like how I'm always reminding folks that worship has a larger meaning to it. Now, if you have a past religious tradition, this can be a supportive place to figure out what you want to claim and keep, and what you want to let go of from that past tradition, as well as to explore a wide range of teachings and practices that may inspire you now. Also, I should mention, if you're interested in having conversations with other atheists, humanists, and agnostics, by the way, we have a group for that. Although I also think it can be just as invigorating to have conversations with people who have, different perspectives than maybe mine. And we have practicing pagans here, we have Buddhist-inspired meditators, we have liberal Christians, and just eclectic seekers. So it can be wonderful to talk with all of those folks.
Wow. That's cool with me, Reverend Shari. This is not a high church kind of place, though, right? I heard some people say that UU's favorite ritual is coffee hour. That sounds more up my alley than communion.
We do tend more to a relaxed style in this church and in UU churches typically. And I'm glad you called me Reverend Shari. That's kind of what most folks do around here, although Reverend Woodbury is fine too. It's okay to do what you need to do for your body, for example. Some people knit in the pews. You can stand or not for hymns according to the needs of your body. We don't squelch the kids from doing what kids need to do with their bodies, as you saw. Gerald the giraffe can dance in his own way, and so can anybody here. I also can't disagree that many members relished coffee hour and the companionship enjoyed not only during the service, but in casual conversations downstairs afterwards. In fact, there's a song about that. Judy, do you know that song? Okay. Hang on. I have an idea. Elaine, I seem to remember that you're a singer. What part do you sing?
I sing alto.
Okay, I'm a soprano. Do you know Holy, Holy, Holy?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
May I just tell a quick story?
Oh, okay.
My mother was a church pianist. My mother was a church pianist in the Baptist church. So I was in church practically from the beginning of my life. And when I was about 3, the congregation was singing, Holy, Holy, Holy. Well, I didn't know the words to Holy, 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 but after everybody finished singing, I sang, oh, where has my little dog gone? Oh, where can it be? And I've been singing ever since in church.
Well, I have some alternate words here if you want to sing them with me and if you know the harmony.
I do.
Okay, let's hit it. Coffee, 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 praise the strength of coffee. Early in the morn we rise with thoughts of only thee. Served fresh or reheated, dark by thee defeated, rude black by perk, or drip or instantly. Feel the holy power, our coffee hour. If we're led to congregate, we come in time for thee. Coffee, our one ritual, drinking it habitual, brewed black or perk, or drip or instantly. Coffee, the communion of our union, symbol of our sacred growth, our one necessity. Though all else we stop, we come to church for coffee, brewed black by perk, or drip or instantly. That was good. I'm actually a tea drinker myself. And the song is a bit tongue-in-cheek, of course, and I like Holy, 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 so no shade on folks who love that song. It's a beautiful song. And we actually do have rituals and worship that many UUs treasure, like lighting the chalice every Sunday and practicing generosity with our offering and our hymns. Some folks don't know this, but there's even a liturgical year of sorts that has special annual rituals, most notably water ingathering early in the fall, the New Year fire ceremony, and flower ceremony in the spring are some of the most popular.
Well, that's actually good to hear. I like how those things sound nature-inspired and that there's a kind of cycle. One thing I'm looking for is something that will provide some constancy in my life. Religion is supposed to give us that.
I think I know what you mean, Elaine. There are things you can count on here for sure, like those rituals and songs and the feeling of being in this space and being there for each other, of course. But be forewarned, Unitarian Universalism is by design a dynamic religion. That's why we call it a living tradition. It continues to evolve with growing insight and understanding to meet the needs of today. Are there other ideas you have about this church that you want to check on?
Yeah. I want an easy religion. The tradition that I was in before was just too onerous and exacting. That's the sixth reason why I'm considering joining here. I hear it's relaxed.
That's interesting. Well, unlike the White Queen in Alice in Wonderland, you don't have to believe 6 impossible things before breakfast to belong here, so that's true. And we're realistic about people sharing their time, talent, and treasure. We do want our members to do that, but we know that everyone's situation is different. But I wouldn't necessarily call it easy to be a UU. Like practicing covenantal relationships, that's pretty character building, let me tell you. Living into our values in daily life can be demanding. And loving the questions, going on a quest for truth and meaning, that may actually be harder than accepting someone else's ready-made answers. So this place might not be hard in the same ways you experienced elsewhere, but it's a real religion, and it takes a high level of commitment if you want to do it wholeheartedly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. Well, let me ask you this. I've been wounded before in religious community, and it's made me cautious. I don't want to risk ever getting hurt again in my church.
I hear you. That's rough. I'm sorry you had that experience. Here's what I can tell you. We're not a perfect people. People generally mean well and try to be kind to each other. But like any human community, we can hurt each other, usually unintentionally. That's part of the risk that we take when we enter a relationship with anyone, including a religious community. But we do make certain commitments to each other about how we will treat each other. It's not a guarantee against ever getting hurt, but you might find some comfort in hearing about the promises that we make. In this community, they're summarized in the covenant of right relations that the congregation adopted. And I'm actually going to invite everyone to participate in doing a responsive reading of the covenant so you can hear it, Elaine. It's printed in the order of service. It's on the back of your program. And if you're on this side of the pews, why don't you do the regular font lines with me? And if you're on that side, will you lead them, Elaine, in the italics?
I do. It's the bigger side.
Okay. All right. Let's begin from this side. We, the congregation of First Unitarian Church of Omaha, covenant together to create a religious community where we can freely explore our values and foster diversity as a source of renewal strength. To build healthy relationships, seeking to understand each other and respect our differences. Come on now. To listen deeply and endeavor to communicate directly, honestly, and compassionately, particularly when we are in conflict. To do our best to make amends when we have hurt each other, even unintentionally. To learn from our mistakes, to forgive, and to reconnect in the spirit of understanding and commitment. So that's what we do to try to make sure we are treating each other well. We practice that.
Okay, well, I feel kind of sheepish asking about this, but I've heard that this is a gay church. I love gay people. My best friend is gay, but I'm straight myself.
You probably got this idea, Elaine, because First Unitarian is a GLBTQIA welcoming congregation. This church went through a deliberate process to get educated and be more inclusive and welcoming to folks of all gender and sexual backgrounds. It was honored with the status of welcoming congregation, which is a national UU program, in 2003, so 20 years ago actually now. And that doesn't mean that everyone here is queer. We have plenty of straight and cisgender folks too. And what it means is everyone can be themselves and just openly, comfortably, be who they are, and including some of our young people who are still figuring that out. So the makeup of our congregation is similar to that of the surrounding community when it comes to sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, if someone was looking for a church that is just for queer folks and their families, that's okay. And if that's what they're looking for, I'd encourage them to check out the Metropolitan Community Church.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's really refreshing to be among church people who care about everyone and who don't shy away from proclaiming their values. I know you have also spoken up for reproductive rights. Is that right? Mm-hmm. It's just so good to be with like-minded people, In my last church, there was as much political division on Sundays in church as there was around the Thanksgiving table with my extended family. But at First Unitarian, everyone can share their opinions.
Okay, so not so fast. We like to say we don't have to think alike to love alike. So people can share their opinions with each other. That doesn't mean that they'll have the same opinions all the time. So there are many differences among us, including political affiliations and the ways individuals might see different issues. As we just heard in the Congregational Covenant, we value diversity as a source of strength. So folks are like-minded in the sense of, sharing many values and commitments about how we want to live in the world. That does lead us often to share convictions on current issues and to act together on them, like with the reproductive justice. But in many other ways, in our ideas and our life experiences, we're different from each other. And that's part of the beauty of being in this community.
All right. These have been helpful clarifications. And so far, nothing you have said has made me want to turn tail and run. I think this is my last question, Reverend Shari. I grew up in a small town in Texas and spent a lot of years in the Bible Belt, going to Baptist Sunday school and training union every week. I just don't have any patience left for people who want to save my soul. It doesn't matter to me how well-intentioned they are. I'm just tired of people trying to convert me. No one will try to save me here, will they?
No. If you mean save your soul from eternal damnation, I can definitively say no. Actually, the Universalists historically believed that everyone would make their way home to the divine eventually, so no saving was needed. UUs today are focused more on living a life consistent with our caring values than they are on right belief or confession or conversion or those kind of things. And that said, your question reminds me of a member who just joined last year. She's gotten very involved, and she's told me several times, and this was her words, that this church saved my life. And we're not going to tell you, you're going to hell unless you declare certain beliefs or do certain things. I don't think most people here even believe in hell. But you just might find yourself saved in other ways. Saved by accepting community, by healing and music, by the growth that's possible when others care about you and support you, and when you find that you want to be there for them too and that you truly belong.
Wow. I never thought about it like that. Well, thanks for answering my questions, Reverend Shari.
Sure. And if any more questions come up later, don't hesitate to reach out to me or talk to anyone at coffee hour, or you can reach out to our membership coordinator, Melissa Gibson. She loves chatting with newcomers and telling them all about Unitarian Universalism. So I'm really glad that you've decided to explore our community, Lane.
Thanks
for being here.
I'm looking forward to joining you one of these days.
All right, that's a wrap on our 10 reasons not to join a Unitarian Universalist church. Of course, as I said in the beginning, there are many good reasons to join, and I look forward to new people joining us in the future. For now, I invite everyone to rise if you like and sing our closing hymn, number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. You may be seated. With each breath, may we continue to say yes to life, including the life-giving power of genuine community. With each day that passes, may we say yes to truth, continuing a responsible search for truth and meaning. And as long as life lasts, let us say yes to love, which is the beating heart of a living Unitarian Universalism. So may it be. Amen.